All right, everybody. Y'all know the deal. The biggest week of HBCU bands and football. We are finally here. Celebration Bowl, ESPN's Band of the Year, sponsored by Red Lobster. We got a nice roundtable for you today. We have our band extraordinaire, Kalan Hooks. We have our social media coordinator in Cayla Sweazie. And we have our amazing Rhoden fellows in Nilea Cosley and Gabrielle Heyward. I'm the HBCU reporter at Andscape, Mia Berry. Got a lot to get into, but let's start it off with Band of the Year. Everyone, Kalan, I'll have you started off. What was your initial reaction to seeing the Division One reveal, where you have the reigning champs, North Carolina A&T, and you got the marching 100 of Florida A&M battling it out in Atlanta?
My initial reaction is, we're going to see a lot of, what used to be the MEAC because, Florida A&M used to be in the MEAC before making their jump to the SWAC. So I don't think we're going to get a lot of, we won't get a lot of competition going head to head of the bands. Last year with Jackson State Sonic Boom of the South, I know their announcer would, try to come for the other band. I know Mia, you initially just did a piece with Florida A&M's announcer, and he, kind of touched on some of his slogans that he does. I'm hoping to see a lot of that against North Carolina A&T, but I think we're in for a treat. I mean, Florida A&M, they're going to bring a lot of storytelling to the field. North Carolina A&T, a lot of precision with their cold steel drum line, the Golden Delight dancers. So I think we're in for a real treat with Division One.
I think so too. I love how you mentioned the former MEAC connection because, especially for me, sometimes when you see these older schools that are no longer MEAC schools, no longer SWAC schools, like Hampton, like A&T, sometimes you tend to miss those rivalries. Like Aggie Eagle, I'm like, oh, hold on, I haven't seen A&T in a minute. It's good to see them out proud, A&T was a staple of the Celebration Bowl for many years. Although they're not in either conference, they can't be a part of it. I'm happy we are able to celebrate their excellence in a different way. And I'm always, we have Rattlers. We've had Rattlers as fellows, Rattlers as fans. So I'm excited to see what the Marching 100 does. Dr. Chapman, he's always going to bring something out of his pocket. And I can't wait to see it. And also, it's like, can A&T defend that title now? Y'all have bragging rights for 1 year. Do you
Yeah.
get to keep them, or y'all gonna get roasted by the rest of the HBCU community?
As an A&T student currently, we just uphold that level of excellence at the most illustrious HBCU of them all. So I'm really excited to see the Blue and Gold Marching Machine, as well as our Golden Delight and Cold Steel, who were both featured in Big Sean's Amazon performance a few weeks ago. So I'm excited to see what they come up with, and hopefully they're able to pull out a win. Growing up, I also went to FAMU a lot with my parents, as we have some family friends who attended that HBCU. So it's going to be a little bit of a hometown, home city rivalry, family feud vibe. So, but hopefully A&T is able to pull out that win.
Gabby, I got a question for you. What was the campus feel? How did your friends react when you found out A&T was going back to Atlanta? Not for a Celebration Bowl title, but Band of the Year title.
We're not shocked. We weren't shocked. The band is the best part of our football games. Even our Golden Delight dancers and their P-Funk that they do after the halftime performance. It's just fun to watch, and it's fun to just enjoy that experience that they do at the end of the halftime performances, going back into the stands. So I'm excited to go and see what A&T, how they plan to uphold that level of excellence each and every game and each and every performance.
Okay. Nice segue. We don't just have Division Two. We have Division One. We also have Division Two bands. Virginia State is in the building, and so is Miles College. So we got a little bit of a SEAC versus CIAA. So we're getting a lot of rivalries, conference pride on the line here. Kalan, back to you. Tell me about these two bands. What should we expect from them?
Well, I think from these two bands, especially Virginia State, we can't forget that last year they also competed and they were the runner-up against Florida Memorial. So I think this year, we're going to see a lot of excitement. We'll see a lot of precision. After reviewing, a lot of the Virginia State Trojan Explosion in their performances, the main thing that they emphasize is energy on the field. a lot of, bands you might see like, hey, we're just gonna get through the show, we're gonna go through the motions within the dance routine. We're gonna, go through the precision drill. This band right here, they're like, look, we gonna be up in your face. We gonna give you everything that we got, and we gonna enjoy it, and we gonna have fun in the process of doing so. And with Virginia State being a run-up last year, I know they're out for blood, and I know that they're hoping to come home with that title this year because I know that that loss against Florida Memorial last year kind of left a bad taste in their mouth. So I'm hoping to see something great from them this season, from this for this year. Excuse me. Now for Miles, if you so the thing about it with Florida A&M and North Carolina A&T, you're not going to get an actual, like swag band that has swag groups this year. But with Miles College, though, that's literally everything SWAC, in my opinion. Miles College, though they're Division II, they've been head to head with some of the best SWAC bands. They've been head to head with the Alabama State Mighty Marching Hornets. They've gone head to head with my alma mater, not this season, but last season with the Arkansas Pine Bluff Marching Musical Machine of the Mid South. And so, if you want to talk about, musicality, if you want to talk about a band that's sounding full, a band that, brings that Alabama band energy, that's what you're going to get within a Miles College Purple Marching Machine. And on top of that, they have young blood too on the podium and director Professor Willie Snipes. So I think we're from the Miles College Purple Marching Machine. We're going to expect, some real like in your face. We're going to be nasty with it. We about to show y'all what it's all about, and we're going to get that championship while we do it. So I think, in my opinion, Division II is going to be a lot more interesting than Division I.
I thought that last year, Division II, I'm just looking at these bands. They're a lot smaller, but you can still sense the energy and the power, and you can hear the precision in their instruments, even from the press box. We're like several levels above field level, and you can still feel it, like it reverberated throughout the stadium. So I remember Virginia State. I'm happy for the update on Miles College. Followed their football team a little throughout the season. Didn't get too much of the fifth quarter just because I haven't, YouTube ain't always the best quality when it comes to bands, but that's why we brought Mr. Kalan on. Like this man watches game band film like it's game film. So I knew he'd be able to update us and prepare us for this matchup. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Kalan. What are your predictions now? Please be advised that people will come back, watch this, and you might end up on social media if you're wrong. Just saying.
Hey, let me start off by saying this. All four of these bands, they've earned their spots within this year's ESPN Band of the Year. They've demonstrated excellence on the field. They've demonstrated everything in terms of, how to portray a perfect theme show, how to, tell a story on the field, how to execute a drill properly. One thing that I must say, with the Miles College Purple Marching Machine, you're going to get swag on the field. You're going to get that, two-step drill. You're going to get that, that dance routine that's, I'm going to give you the jig. I'm going to give you the TikTok dances that everyone loves. So for Division II, I'm going Miles College Purple Marching Machine. And Division I, Gabrielle, I love you. But the Florida A&M Marching 100, they're all about they're extra, okay? They're extra. They're going to give you, something that you're not expecting. And that could be, in terms of something of a dance routine before the actual show begins. That could mean something as in a prop during the show. That could mean something as if, spelling out North Carolina A&T or Aggie on the field, though it's not them, and putting a diss and making it class. So with Division I, I'm gonna have to go Florida A&M Marching 100.
Okay. I got a fun one for all of us. Given it's Christmas time, the holiday season, given all the music and albums we've seen over the last couple months, is there a particular song you want the bands to perform at Band of the Year? I know it has to be some on y'all heart now. Kayla, what about you?
Yeah, we've seen Sticky been performed already, so I would love to continue to see that. I'm obsessed with right now listening to SZA and Kendrick, so I'd love to see Luther, which has been great. So I think those are like top two for me.
Yes, Kayla, I agree. I want to see Luther. Somebody has to do it.
I must say, Cayla, the Florida A&M Marching 100, they have played Sticky on the field. But as you did mention, Kendrick is hot right now. Kendrick just dropped a new album. I want to hear somebody on the field scream mustard. Like that's gonna go crazy. So TV off.
Okay. Nilea, Gabby, come on. I know
Yeah,
y'all on
let me
campus. What's
chime
popping right
in
now?
here. So, kind of like we already mentioned, I definitely want to see who's going to perform sticky and who's going to be better at performing if we get multiple performances. I want to see a little bit of TikTok. So, I want to see Bumba. I want to see that in there. And like you said, Christmas is coming up, so we could get a little Christmas magic. All I want for Christmas. So, I'm excited to see who does that and who puts their own, twist on it.
I would love for them to actually perform some Glorilla. She's also a huge hot camaraderie right now. I think hearing I Love Her, that song with T-Pain on it would sound really good. I also want to hear a little bit of old school too, because I Love Her by Lenny Williams. That would be okay, and they could start singing it. You see the vision.
I wouldn't mind some Frankie Beverly since you mentioned old school with his recent passing. I think I might be interested in that type of old school, a tribute. And we also can't forget Usher's in the A, same time, same weekend. So we might hear a couple older classics. I don't know if Niley and Gabby y'all saw that early 2000s Usher run now.
Yeah.
What were y'all, one, two? And
One.
y'all parents' thoughts and prayers?
Yes, but the thing about our generation is we love to still hold on to that like legacy and the culture part. So we're up to date, we're up to date. We might be Gen
Yeah.
Alpha, but we're with the millennials when it comes to the music.
Okay.
I like old school music, so I'm here with it. I'm here with it with old school.
Okay.
So
Here with it. That's that's I feel like that's the perfect way to end it and segue it. So I'm going to preface this by saying that we all have no dog in the fight. We have two members of this call. I'm not going to tell you who, but two members whose team has never went to the Celebration Bowl. We have one member whose team is no longer eligible for the Celebration Bowl, and we have someone Division 2, so they're not going to the Celebration Bowl. So we're roughly neutral parties at this point. You might have a little, little ticky tackiness. We got some swag, we got some MEAC, we got some CAA, but we're roughly neutral, which is why I think we're the perfect people to talk about this objectively and have fun with it all at the same time. Now we got to get to the big boy, the football game, Celebration Bowl, best of the SWAC, best of the MEAC. We have Jackson State representing the SWAC for the third time, and we have South Carolina State representing the MEAC for the second time. A rematch of the 2021 Celebration Bowl with Deion Sanders and Buddy Pugh. A lot can change in a couple years because neither one of those coaches are with those programs right now. We have their successors in TC Taylor with Jackson and my cousin. I don't know if he is, but I'm claiming anybody with the last name Berry, Hallie included, Chennis Berry with South Carolina State. So starting it off, this year's Celebration Bowl is it's a week earlier. Usually, MEAC gets a couple weeks off. SWAC, they always get that week off because that's SWAC championship game. So coming into this game, I want to throw it out there for you guys. Which team do you really feel like has the advantage with this matchup?
Yeah, I'll start it off. I'm just looking at numbers and both of these teams having been in the Celebration Bowl before this rematch from 2021. South Carolina State returning 15 players and then Jackson State returning 7. So I just think that experience kind of is going to be an advantage for them heading into the matchup, having played on this stage, widely televised on ABC, noon game. I think that experience is going to be leverage for them.
yeah, kind of just to piggyback off of what Kayla said, being as though South Carolina State has players that already been in the game before more than Jackson State has. So I kind of think that gives them leverage, and they also probably had more time to prepare, being as though they know that they made it to Celebration Bowl first.
I agree. Chennis Berry came out in the press conference. He said, "Oh yeah, I don't think it's an advantage. That 2 weeks break that they had, we still have to play. 2 weeks is a lot of time to rest. It's a lot of time to heal." And he also mentioned he's been scouting Jackson State for 2 weeks. Granted, he did have to scout Southern as well, but they already have a head start on that preparation. And I feel like that week difference is why the MEAC is 6-2 all time in the Celebration Bowl. Like, come on, that is a wide margin. It's not close. Gabby's A&T Aggies actually busted wide open with that with 4 titles, but still, it's not close. And I feel like that extra week of rest to, get bodies right, to allow players to go home for the holidays. Some home cooking really helps the soul when it comes to this matchup, and the fact that they've been watching Jackson, watch that final game, watch them against Southern. I would say I'm giving a slight edge, and Berry's a winner at every level now. Coming in 2 conference championships from Benedict, third conference championship in a row. So I'll slightly give the edge to South Carolina State. No one else want to hop in on this?
Okay. Well, I'm from the great state of South Carolina, even though I rep my Aggies hard. My parents actually also went to South Carolina State, and my sister goes there now. So I do have a little bit of a, like I said, family rivalry. They've been bullying me since A&T lost to South Carolina State earlier this season. But I also would have to give the advantage to South Carolina State. Like you said, that home cooking, there is nothing like a good home cooked meal, and the people, from South Carolina, they can cook, okay? They can cook, they can throw it down, okay? If I could cook, I'll cook for you, okay? But yeah, South Carolina State, I think definitely has that advantage just because they do have that 2 weeks. Jackson State, they weren't necessarily certain that they would even be in the bowl. So um I think with them, it's more of like a we're ready, but are we prepared type thing. And I do think that if the Celebration Bowl was a week later, then maybe it would give them more time to prepare too. But even with that being said, South Carolina State would still have the 3 weeks compared to the two. So it's just a numbers thing.
I'm going to have to be, the guy that's, choosing against everyone in this situation.
Do
I
it.
mean, momentum is everything. Jackson State has, they don't get a a rest week. TC Taylor is like, these guys are we're looking forward for this moment in his news conference. These guys are looking forward for this moment. These guys want to play for TC, and with that, that excludes that, that exudes a certain amount of passion, what I'm saying, to be able to play on the biggest stage of HBCU football. And with a couple of weeks, a lot can happen in a couple of weeks. A lot of, your legs could be tired. They say, use the term fresh legs or whatever. But, within that couple of weeks, it could turn into a lackadaisical type of play. Some folks could walk out on the field, and they'll be lazy. And so in this situation, with TC's experience on the MEAC side, with previously being with North Carolina Central and having been on, the SWAC side with Jackson State, he's seen, what Deion Sanders has done with his couple of seasons of going to the Celebration Bowl. I'm gonna have to go Jackson State on this one because TC, he's been to every Celebration Bowl and has lost. TC has his fire built inside of him to get him a Celebration Bowl win. And I think 2024 with Jack, the Sonic Boom of the South, one of their slogans are "Destroy 24," and they bring the energy to every game for the Tigers football team. And I think that's the mindset that TC has going to this game. So I'm going Jackson State.
I love how you mentioned his record and why you're betting on TC. FYI, for people that don't know, TC all time is 0-3. One loss with North Carolina Central on that blocked extra point, and then 0-2 from the two he lost to South Carolina State and North Carolina Central while at the Celebration Bowl. But I do think that also adds to that fire, as Kalan was talking about. Jackson State's going into this game. They do have, I can truly say they do have that underdog mentality coming into this game. And it's not attached to their record, it's attached to that hunger from making it so far so many times, yet falling short. So I can see where that hunger comes from. I can also see it with South Carolina State, the new head coach. This team's been down and down bad 2 seasons in a row. And you have guys and seniors on this team that remembers the taste of victory, but also the last couple of years, it's been taste of defeat, boot to their ass. So they've gone through a lot as well. So I can see the hunger on both sides coming in. But enough talking about the coaches. How about we talk about some of these players now? They're the ones that are going to get on the field and battle it out. So I'm going to toss it to, I'm going to let Niley start it off. Niley, who are your players for each team that we should watch for this game?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with Jackson State Tigers, and I'm going to go with Irv. Okay, I'm going to go with number 5. You guys seen his records, his touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns throughout the season so far. So that's kind of who I'm keeping an eye on. I've actually been keeping up with him during the season as well. And as far as South Carolina, I cannot say just one player, honestly. I'm looking at, a little bit of all of them. And I'm thinking it's really going to be, I don't want to say a close game, but yeah, I'm just excited to see who's going to actually be able to stick each player and just, yeah, I'm just excited to see who's going to mm, come out on top, I could say, because I know there are players that, excuse me. There are players that I want to say we need to keep out and keep on a watch for, but we have some of them that already, yeah.
Can't go wrong with Mr. Mulligan. Led the SWAC in rushing yards and tied for rushing touchdowns with 11, over 1,000 yards on the season. I can see why he's a favorite for you. Anybody else have Irv on their Jackson State players to watch? I see
I'm
the
for
head
sure.
shakes. All right, Kayla, Kalan, go ahead, break it down.
Caleb, feel free, or I could also go. But Irv, I mean, you got to think about it. A guy put it like this. Walter Payton, when you talk about Jackson State football, the first name that should come into mind is Walter Payton. Well, Irv Mulligan is, the new blood of Jackson State football. He recently bypassed Irv Mulligan's record for rushing yards in a single season. I believe Walter had 1,139 rushing yards. Correct me if I'm wrong. Irv bypassed that with 1,174 rushing yards. So I see him being a real impact in the Celebration Bowl against South Carolina State. I mean, the big thing about it, both teams. TC Taylor mentioned in his news conference on Sunday. The biggest thing is, those guys up front are going to have to do that work, but with Irv's speed and his strength, he's going to be. I think he's going to be able to give Jackson State that pull. But even on the South Carolina State side too, defense is the name of the game sometimes, and for them, I'm going Aaron Smith, a guy that recorded, 5 solo sacks on the season. I think, Jackson State, they have a lot to worry about with those guys up front. And if they can't contain Aaron Smith, then they'll have some problems on the offensive side. And Aaron Smith is that guy that could get the job done for South Carolina State.
Okay, Kayla, our other Irv Mulligan player to watch. Tell me what you see.
Yeah, just have to echo all the sentiments from everyone else. I just think when you have someone who is leading so dominantly, it also impacts the players around him. And I think that could be exactly what this team has needed all season, but also going into this big matchup, like Kalan said, heading into a game where you have so much momentum and you have such a strong leader. I think that's sometimes all it takes. There's one game left this season for most of those players. So I think that's all that it takes to get that win. And also, speaking of Jackson State, I think that running back Travis Terrell was the freshman of the year for the SWAC, and I think that we've talked a lot about the experience that South Carolina State brings and how that can be leveraged. I also think looking at this younger class for Jackson State is also very beneficial. This might be one of their first times playing in a game like this, but I think that it's almost that nothing to lose mentality, stepping out on that field for the first time and just giving it all you have. So I'm excited to see how both of those players size up.
Kayla, I'm happy you mentioned experience. So when it comes to Celebration Bowl experience, I'm actually going slightly against the grain. I'm gonna go to Kaverick Wiggins, one of those holdovers from that 2022 loss. Kaverick, first team all SWAC, led the SWAC in pass breakups, and he was fifth in the conference with interceptions with 3. So sorry, third in the SWAC for pass breakups with 9. I think that experience, especially on the secondary, when South Carolina State, come on, there's no surprise. They have the top 3 receivers in the MEAC. all three receivers all over 500 yards. So I feel like that secondary battle is going to be very important for them when you got a quarterback that he wants to sling it. And he has three different talented receivers that he could feed. So I'm going to go Wiggins is going to be a player to keep an eye out for Jackson. He might come up with a huge play. He might get that fourth, fifth, sixth. We've seen Celebration Bowls with multiple interceptions. He might get mossed. It's a combination. You don't know, but he's a player you should keep out to watch for Jackson. And for South Carolina State, I'm going to go in the trenches. I got to go defense. I'm going to do a shot Hall. I like 11 sacks on the year. One thing about the MEAC, they love the trenches. And I feel like that's going to be the battle that determines who wins. The last couple Celebration Bowls I've watched, the teams that can dominate the trenches, control the line of scrimmage, is the team that wins. So those are my two. Secondary for Jackson, trenches for South Carolina State. Gabby, you got your players?
Yes, I was actually going to go with for South Carolina State. I was going to say their grad transfer quarterback Eric Phoenix, who threw for 2,460 yards as well as 20 touchdowns, and is currently averaging 246 yards per game. He also played with Coach Barry for 2 seasons at Benedict, so he's very familiar with the coaching style, and I don't think it's going to transfer any less on a bigger stadium in a bigger arena. And then to echo everyone's statements with Jackson State, of course, Irv Mulligan, who is probably one of the best in the country right now. And like y'all said, he's averaging 1,174 yards this season, and he finished with the SWAC's leading rusher. So definitely going to be exciting to see what both of those players do in the Celebration Bowl.
Okay. Cayla, you and I kind of talked about this previously. I mentioned the trenches. You got somebody in the trenches for South Carolina State that you've kept your eye out on. Who is it?
Yeah, it's Nick Tace on the O-line. I think that he's just been solid year round, and I think it's exciting to see, kind of like Gabby was saying. I think that those skills that we see all year or just all season translate to this big stage at the Celebration Bowl. So I'm a little biased. My brother's a collegiate offensive lineman, so I feel like I'm always spotting the O-line. But yeah, Nick Tace has been on my list.
Okay. Hot seat for everyone. We got to decide. We've been talking all things Jackson, all things South Carolina State. What are your predictions? Who wins? How close? I can start it off. I'm going to go 28-27 South Carolina State. Partially because I can't root against anyone with the last name Berry. I'm sorry. It's family now. Mia Berry, Chinnis Berry. You got to root for the Berry. So, and the MEAC is also 6-2 all time. TC 0-3. South Carolina State 1-0. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna stand firm. SC State for me. Close. I don't see another 31-10 blowout. I see it being close.
Yeah, I'll go. Similar for me. I won't give an exact score, but I am anticipating a close game. And as someone who graduated from a school in the MEAC, I have to go with South Carolina State winning.
Yeah, I'll just go here. I'm gonna have to go with South Carolina State as well. I do believe it's going to be a close game, and my reason is still kind of because I believe they still had that upper hand because they had more time to prepare. But I mean, sometimes the underdogs come on top. But yeah.
I also can't go against the home team, so I'm going with South Carolina State. Just so my parents don't kill me if they watch this. I'm going with South Carolina State. I actually don't have it being a close game. I've got not necessarily a blowout, but at least a 20 point lead over Jackson State.
I'm gonna be the
Run,
swag baby
Gabby
in the
ain't coming for
conversation.
you. Gabby, run. Jackson State faithful are coming for you.
I'm gonna be the swag baby in this conversation. I won't give an exact score, but I must say it will be close. TC loves those special teams too. So if I had to give a score, I'm going Jackson State 23, South Carolina State 20.
I'm not mad at that. Represent your swag. I mean, I won't crack a joke. Never mind.
Go ahead and crack it.
I'm I'm like, so this is who UAPB roots for. Hey, can't be mad at you. But that's all the time we had for today. I'm excited you guys were able to join us for an exciting conversation on, our our predictions for Band of the Year and Celebration Bowl. I'm Mia Berry. We have our band extraordinaire Kalan Hooks, Cayla Sweazie, Nilea Cosley, Gabrielle Heyward. Signing off. Thank you for joining us. And to keep up with our Celebration Bowl coverage, please go to Andscape.com. We got some good ones between, interviews with former MVPs, Jackson State female drum major, and a profile on Chennis Berry. So, and Irv Mulligan as well. So we should be your one-stop shop on keeping up with the Celebration Bowl. So thank you for joining us. Have a good one.